What's up, Encounter? Good morning. We're so glad that you are with us, joining on the online worship stream. Thank you for being here. Thank you for making it a priority, not for us, for yourself, for all of us together, collectively joining Jesus in this time. As we're in our different homes and different places, we're joining in worship at the same time. And we just want to enjoy our Father this morning. So why don't you join us as we sing this song, In the Father's House. Let's sing this together. Ooh, lay your burdens down. Ooh, you're in the Father's house. Check your shame at the door, 'cause it ain't welcome anymore. Ooh, you're in the Father's house. Sometimes on this journey, I get lost in my mistakes. What looks like me to weakness is a canvas for your strength. My story isn't over, my story's just begun. Failure won't define me, 'cause that's what my Father does. Failure won't define me, 'cause that's what my Father does. Ooh, lay your burdens down. Ooh, here in the Father's house. Check your shame at the door, 'cause it ain't welcome anymore. Ooh, you're in the Father's house. Arrival's not the end game, the journey's where you are. You never wanted perfect, you just wanted my heart. And the story isn't over if the story isn't good. Failure's never final when the Father's in the room. Oh, failure's never final when the Father's in the room. Ooh, lay your burdens down. Ooh, you're in the Father's house. Check your shame at the door, it ain't welcome anymore. Ooh, you're in the Father's house. Prodigals come home, the hopeless find hope. Love is on the move when the Father's in the room. Prison doors fling wide, the dead come to life. Love is on the move when the Father's in the room. Miracles take place, the cynical find faith. Love is breaking through when the Father's in the room. Jericho's walls are quaking, strong towers now are shaking. Love is breaking through when the Father's in the room. Love is breaking through when the Father's in the room. Ooh, lay your burdens down. Ooh, here in the Father's house. Check your shame at the door, 'cause it ain't welcome need you. Soften my heart to break me apart. I need you to open my eyes to see that you're shaping my life. All I am, I surrender. Give me faith to trust what you say, that you're good and your love is great. I'm broken inside, I give you my life. I need you. Soften my heart and break me apart. I need you to pierce through the dark and cleanse every part of me. All I am, I surrender. Give me faith to trust what you say, that you're good and your love is great. I'm broken inside, I give you my life. I may be weak, but your spirit's strong in me. My flesh may fail, but my God, you never will. I may be weak, but your spirit's strong in me. My flesh may fail, but my God, you never will. I need faith to trust what you say, that you're good and your love is great. I'm broken inside, I give you my life. Yeah.
Hey church, we just have some information that we just want to share with you about Encounter. We are no longer meeting indoors on Sunday services. We're going to be taking that on the patio outside the church. But you still need to sign up online and register, and we do have programs for your children, but that just means bring your own chair, still sign up online, and we're going to see you on those Sundays. Thanks for joining us.
I want to begin with a mental picture. Do me a favor, go ahead and close your eyes. Are they closed? All right. I want you to imagine that you're 80 or 90 years old. What are you like? I don't mean your resume, I mean your eulogy. In the words of our friend Mark Riggins, imagine you could attend your own funeral. What are people thanking you for? Is the future you more patient, more kind, more generous? Is the future you less reactionary? The future you is gentle and at peace with himself or herself. You're confident without being arrogant. Experiences taught you that you can laugh at most of life's difficulties. They're not going to destroy you. Is future you the type of person your grandkids are going to want to hang out with? Is future you the type of person that someone would come to for advice? Do you like future you? All right, go ahead and open your eyes. This year, you got older, but did you get better? This year, you got older, but did you get elder? When I say elder, I don't mean in a theological sense. I mean in an anthropological sense. I mean that every culture around the world has this honored position within its social strata of men and women who have done a significant bit of life and have learned from it. They wear scars like treasures. They laugh at difficulties as they come. They're patient, they're kind, they're men and women of integrity and character. They're not the get off my lawn type people. They're the, hey kids, you want to come on in for something to drink kind of people? You got older, did you get better? You got older, did you get elder? When I was dating Megan, I remember vividly asking her a question. At the end of your life, how do you know you'll have lived a good life? And there's a really good debate around how do we define success in life. But I asked her specifically, how will you know you lived a good life? And she thought about it for a few minutes and then said, well, my face will be covered with wrinkles from laughing with you all of these years, no matter what comes. And Megan gets better with every year. She's well on her way to being elder. Grace and peace oozes wisdom, confidence, generosity. Are you getting better? Because we live in a society that values youth. We're sold elixirs and creams and gym memberships, anything we can do to stay young. But don't you understand, I hope you do, that the hero is not Peter Pan who has found a way to stay young and childish forever. The hero is Wendy, who realizes that what the world needs is not more children, but better adults. Someone has to attend to the nursery. Someone has to put dinner on the table. We don't need more childish adults. We need better adults. We don't just need to get older. We've got to get better so that we can be the adults we needed when we were younger. We continue our series called Real Talk, where we're marching through a number of Psalms. Today, we're going to be in Psalms 19. Psalms chapter 19. Go ahead and turn there with me. Psalms chapter 19. I'm going to start in verse 1. 19:1. The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands. Day after day they pour forth speech. Night after night they reveal knowledge. They, and that's creation, have no speech. They use no words. No sound is heard from them. Verse 4, yet their voice goes out into all the earth, their words to the ends of the world. In the heavens God has pitched a tent for the sun. It is like a bridegroom coming out of his chamber, like a champion rejoicing to run his course. It rises at one end of the heavens and it makes its circuit to the other. Nothing is deprived of its warmth. It's easy to see why C.S. Lewis calls this the greatest psalm in the Psalter and the best lyric ever penned. David begins verse 1, the heavens declare the glory of God. Heavens in a Hebrew cosmology is not where the birds fly, but it's the entire universe. Everything that has been created, all that has been created declares ongoingly. It's a participle. It continues to declare the glory of God. The glory. Glory here is a Hebrew word, kavod. It's a little too close to COVID for me. Kavod. In 1 Samuel, a very large man is said to be kavod. In Isaiah, a huge boulder is said to be kavod. It literally translates of great weight. Of great weight. Think about that. All of creation continues to declare ongoingly, echoing again and again that the glory of God is weighty. It's heavy. By extension, things of weight have great value or are of great importance. The glory of God is burdensome. It's heavy. It's weighty. It's valuable. A couple years ago, Megan and I were in Houston, and we had recently met a dentist, and he owned several practices. He was a very successful dentist and a very successful businessman, and he invited us over to his home for dinner. Megan and I drove up. We had never been to his house before, and we pulled up to a palatial mansion, and we immediately began to doubt what we chose to wear. We came inside, and we were seated at this beautiful banquet table in the formal dining room. Right behind me was the door to the wine cellar, and our new friend had asked, did I want to go into the wine cellar to choose a wine? But I imagined he didn't have anything in there in a box, so I said, why don't you just go ahead and choose for us? The first course came, and it was a Caesar salad, and I remember picking up the fork, and what I was struck by immediately was, this is the heaviest fork I've ever handled. And I began to look at it, and it was a gold gilded Versace fork. And it weighed about as much as a brick. And I began to shuttle lettuce from my bowl to my mouth several times. And then I had to put it down because the fork was so heavy, my hand was tired. I was going to develop carpal tunnel syndrome just from eating the first course. Now I did what anybody would do. We left after the meal, got in the car, and I Googled how much those forks were. Would you believe me if I told you they were $500, not for the setting, for the fork? Weight. It conveys value, importance, prominence, significance. The glory of God, the perfection, the holiness, the all-power, all-knowing, omnipotent God, his glory is heavy, valuable, weighty, and creation continues to declare again and again and again, don't miss it, the one who spoke this into existence. It's burdensome, it's weighty, it's heavy. Know him. Let's keep going. Go down to verse 3. They have no speech, they use no words, no sound is heard from them. This is creation. That creation speaks in a wordless way. It declares ongoingly in a wordless way. There's a role for creation to declare the dominion of God. God spoke all of these things into existence. All that you see and all that we know, God was the one who did that. But there remains a priestly role for humanity, that we are to declare the immanence and the nearness of God. So creation uses the language of images. We use our words and our language to declare and to live in such a way with speech to say God is not only the one who created all this, but God is the one who is near us. He is Emmanuel. He has come near. He has invited us back to the table of fellowship. They have no speech, creation. They use no words. No sound is heard from them, yet their voice goes out into all the earth. Their words to the ends of the world. In the heavens, God has pitched a tent for the sun. It is like a bridegroom coming out of his chamber, like a champion rejoicing to run his course. Verse 6, it rises at one end of the heavens and makes its circuit to the other. Nothing is deprived of its warmth. The writer will turn from all of creation to the most dominant force within it, the sun. He chooses the sun because all of Israel's pagan neighbors worshiped the sun as the god of judgment. And so this poem for a moment becomes a polemic. You worship the God that you think offers judgment that you must appease. Let me introduce you to the God that created the sun. Let me introduce you to the God who houses the sun, the God who sends the sun and recalls the sun, the God who takes care of the sun. That is the God you should actually concern yourself with. And verse 6 ends with a double entendre. The sun for these pagan nations was the God of judgment. And so warmth and heat is a double meaning Hebrew word for judgment. It rises at the end of the heavens and it makes its circuit. That's the sun. And nothing is deprived of its warmth or its judgment. David is saying, don't be worried about the sun. It is the one who made the sun. It is his judgment that you should concern yourself with. And then in verse 7, he's going to resolve that conflict. Pick up with me in verse 7. The law of the Lord is perfect, refreshing the soul. What do you need when you spend all day in warmth, in heat? Refreshment. The law of the Lord is perfect, refreshing the soul. The statutes of the Lord are trustworthy, making wise the simple. The precepts of the Lord are right, giving joy to the heart. The commands of the Lord are radiant, giving light to the eyes. The fear of the Lord is pure, enduring forever. The decrees of the Lord are firm, and all of them are righteous. They are more precious than gold, than much pure gold. They are sweeter than honey from the honeycomb. By them your servant is warned. In keeping them there is great reward. Go back to verse 7. The law, this is one of 6 synonyms the writer will offer for right living. God has been declared in his nature and his quality through creation, and his statutes, his law, his commandments, his precepts tell us how we are to live. Right living before God, what? Refreshes the soul. The word for refresh is literally to restore life. When we mention restoring life, the prerequisite, the presumption is we admit, we understand there's something to be restored. There's something to be corrected. There's something to be resuscitated. That there's something that when I look at the dominance, the omnipotence, the power, and the holiness of God, I notice that I am not that. And so I need my life restored. I need my life reset. I need my life given back to me. I need my soul refreshed because I see that and I realize I'm not that. The statutes, verse 7, of the Lord are trustworthy. Trustworthy. Trustworthy is a Hebrew word meaning the first to change. I realize something's off and I'm willing to change. Because if you can't be corrected, you can't expect to grow. If you can't be corrected, you can't expect to grow. Are you the person that can't ever be corrected or told you're wrong? You're somebody who knows it all, has done it all. Sure, I'm telling you a story about my flat tire, but you're coming immediately on the heels of that. You've had 3 flat tires on black ice at midnight. You've done it all, seen it all, heard it all, and you can't be corrected or instructed at all. We know those people. Some of us can be those people. No, we should be the people who understand that, God, you are holy and you are powerful and we are other. Restore us, help us change course and change direction. Make us a teachable, correctable people. I hope you're in accountable relationships with people in community that they can sit you down and say, I love you. And because I know your priorities and values in life, I know you're following Jesus, you need to hear that I disagree with this decision you're making. I wouldn't be loving you if I didn't say, I think this ends in a bad place for you, or you're going to destroy your life. If you can't be corrected, you can't expect to grow. He says, the law restores us. I abide and adhere to these statutes. I'm the first to be corrected. I often wonder if the opposite of arrogance is curiosity. The opposite of arrogance may just be curiosity. Maybe they know something I don't. Maybe they've read something I haven't. Maybe they've considered something I don't know anything about. Maybe they've lived a story I have no knowledge of. Maybe the opposite of arrogance is just curiosity. I don't know it all. I just know enough to know, God, I'm not exactly what you want me to be. I have more growing to do. Go down to verse 10. They, that's right living, are more precious than gold, than much pure gold. They're sweeter than honey from the honeycomb. Right living is more valuable, more precious, and to be cherished more than anything else in all of creation. These descriptors are intended to be the finest of created things. That what I desire more than the finest of created things is just to be obedient. I want to be faithful. I want to look like the penultimate of revelation about God, which is Jesus Christ, and I'm not there yet. And so I'm going to continue to value that and pursue that. I want that more than anything, to be rightly living before God. Treasures I heed not. Man's empty praise. What I desire more than anything is to live a life pleasing to you, God, more than precious gold, more than sweet honey. In verse 12. In light of all this, who can discern their own errors? He writes, who can discern their own errors? God, forgive my hidden faults. Verse 13, keep your servant also from willful sins, that they may not rule over me. Then I will be blameless, innocent of great transgression. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be pleasing in your sight, Lord, my rock and my redeemer. All revelation demands a response. The writer says, creation declares the power and the dominion and the glory of God, that you are all powerful and all knowing and all present. The revelation, God, you have given us through your prophets and your law and your Torah instructs us in how to live. And I see these two things and I realize I don't measure up. I see who you are, these glimpses, and then I look in the mirror and go, that's not me. I'm not that. Revelation demands a response, and to not make a decision is to still make a decision. To say, I'll deal with revelation later. I'll deal with the relation with God later. I'll deal with God's judgment. I'll deal with God's grace. I'll deal with God's invitation later, is to still make a decision. Revelation demands a decision, demands a response, and the only appropriate response seems to be a humble prayer of need. It seems to be what God finds so attractive in us. Not answers, humility. It reminds me of Isaiah chapter 6. Isaiah the prophet sees the angels flying above the altar and they declare, holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty. And what's his response? I am a man of unclean lips. I don't belong here. This is not my scene. This is not where I'm supposed to be because you are holy, God, and I've got issues. I'm frail. I'm broken. Revelation demands a response, and the only appropriate response seems to be a humble prayer of need. God, forgive me. God, heal me. God, protect me. God, restore me. A humble prayer of need. Go back to verse 12. He writes, who can discern their own errors? It's a rhetorical question. Nobody can discern their rhetorical, or no one can discern their own errors. No one knows all of their hidden, inadvertent, unintentional sins. In the Levitical law, there's a specific sacrifice ascribed to unintentional sins, but in the Hebrew and Leviticus, it calls them rationalized sins. Oh, that's good. Rationalized sins. How much do we rationalize our sin? Well, they owe it to me anyway. She did it first. Well, that's the way he talks about me, so why can't I? They don't pay me what I'm worth anyway. We rationalize sin. God, who can discern all of the errors in their life, all of the ways I rationalize unintentional, inadvertent sins? God, forgive me of those. Forgive, that Hebrew word is used most often of married men among the Israelites who can no longer be sent out to war. And so it's the same word as when they're taken off the military rolls. They can no longer be called and sent out. It literally means to empty out. We empty out the rolls of all married men when we consider those we can send out to battle. God, empty me out, remove from me, take off of me that which is within me that isn't pleasing to you, that is even inadvertent, that is offensive to you. The things that I rationalize are okay, but they're not. And the things that I've become comfortable with because culture and the people around me say this is acceptable, but you, God, in your revelation says is not. Empty me out of all those things. Verse 13, keep your servant from willful sins, that they may not rule over me. Rule over is a Hebrew word meaning boil over. That those things that cause me to boil over, God, would you rob me of them? Would you take them away? Paul and James will say that a wise man or woman is not hot-headed. There's actually a Greek word for hot-headed that James uses. And that if you are hot-headed, you're not a wise man or woman. If you're quick to anger, if you're quick to outburst, you're likely not a wise person. What are those things that cause you to boil over? The psalmist writes, forgive me of my hidden faults. Forgive me and keep your servant from the things that cause me to boil over. Then and only then when I get there, when I do this work, when you empty them out, when you restore and refresh my soul, then and only then will I be blameless, innocent of transgression. May these words of my mouth, may the things I'm speaking from the moment I get up to the moment I go to bed, may the things I'm speaking and the meditation of my heart, the word there, meditation, is the stirring. May the things I speak and the things that stir my affections and my passions. You know how they tell you to notice the things you notice? May the things I notice, the things that stir me, may they please you, God. This is my desire in response to revelation, to live a life that is pleasing to you. In your sight, Lord, my rock and my redeemer. My rock is literally a rock face. God, that you would be my rock, my protector, that you would buffet me from the storms that I bring upon myself because of sin. God, in light of who you are, in light of how you've told me how I should live, I need you to protect me often from myself and the decisions I'm making, and to be my redeemer. Redeemer. Oh, what a good word. You remember our series in Ruth that we went through not too long ago? The character in Ruth, Boaz, is called a kinsman redeemer. It's the same Hebrew word. Boaz is called a goel, a goel. Here it says, Lord, be my rock and my goel. A goel is a family member, nearest one in the clan, that if you were sold into slavery, they had to purchase you back from slavery. Think about it. God, would you be my protector, often protecting me from myself and these unintentional, inadvertent sins, the things that cause me to boil over, protect me from those. And God, buy me back from the slavery I continue to put myself into. Bring me back from the slavery I give myself into. Lord, then and only then would I be pleasing to you. Lord, my rock and my redeemer. Be my goel. 400 years before Jesus Christ came on the scene, there was a philosopher by the name of Socrates. I'm sure you're familiar. Socrates pioneered a form of discourse where he would ask questions of people with opposing or differing philosophical definitions or concepts. And through asking of questions, they would realize that some of their assumptions or hypotheses were inaccurate. And they would realize that their position was false or had some kind of fallacy about it. Revelation from who God is and how he's instructed us to live really comes up against our argument for our life. It reminds us that we've made a lot of false assumptions about how we are supposed to live our lives, what is best for our lives. We've made a lot of assumptions that, God, this is what's right. And like Socrates against those who he disagreed with, he continues to point out, your argument is so thin, your argument is so shallow. Don't you understand that that's not the way life is to be lived? No, Psalms 19 is all about revelation and response. Nature says God is this. He's got dominion over all things. He's all powerful and he's holy. Revelation says, and this is how we live rightly with him. And my only response to that revelation can be, then the argument I'm making for how I live my life best is wrong. God, I don't know what I'm doing. I've got hidden faults and I've got sin in my life that I need you to empty out of me, that I need you to rid me of. Now, Psalms 19 is all about revelation and response. Will your response be a humble prayer of need? God, forgive me, protect me, rescue me, buy me back from sin and slavery to it. I want to leave you with two things that I hope you'd write down and consider in your prayer time this week. Here's the first. Christ is the trajectory, yesterday the baseline. Christ is the trajectory, yesterday is the baseline. My mentor used to tell me, Brian, make sure you always have more behind the counter than you have on display. Have more behind the counter than you have on display. This is ultimately about being people of character, people of integrity. Are you the kind of person that your dog thinks you are? One of my dearest friends, Austin Gray, our associate youth pastor, says, don't compare yourself to who someone else is today. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday. You don't have to figure it all out today. You just got to be better than you were yesterday. I'll say that again. You don't have to figure it all out today. You've just got to be better than you were yesterday. We need to again begin thinking about putting in the forefront of our minds conversations about sexual purity and integrity, muzzling our tongue anytime it's not loving and kind, making sure that we tame our tongue, that we only speak words that edify and uplift, that our conversations become about loving and serving, because you are what you contemplate. Christ is the trajectory. Yesterday is the baseline. Did you do better than yesterday? You don't have to figure it all out right now. You've got to do better than you did yesterday. You're getting older. Are you getting better? Okay, number two. Tomorrow, you will be the result of today's decisions. Tomorrow, you will be the result of today's decisions. Did you spend time reflecting on Christ, on his dominion, on his eminence, and on how you differ from him, those hidden sins, those things you continue to rationalize and say, God, rid me of them, reveal them to me? If not, why would you expect to be any holier, any closer to him tomorrow? Because tomorrow you're going to be the product of today's decisions. You didn't spend time with him today. You didn't pray. You didn't put yourself in an accountable relationship with other Christ followers. So why would you expect to be in a better place with him tomorrow? Again, you don't have to figure it all out now. You've got to take incremental steps. So don't go from no time with the Lord to read through the Bible in a day. Get up tomorrow. Spend a few minutes praying. Maybe the next day you spend a few minutes praying and you read a psalm. Christ is the trajectory. Yesterday's the baseline. But you will tomorrow be the product of today's decisions. And so how we honor God with our time, reflecting and spending time thinking about who we're becoming. Did you work out? Did you invest your money wisely? Did you invest in relationships that you're going to need in this life? Because very likely, almost assuredly, the gap or chasm between who you are and who you want to be is discipline. The chasm and gap between who you are and who you want to be is discipline. You don't have to figure it out. You've got to put in the effort to do a little bit better than yesterday. Too often we talk about conversations of transformation. The caterpillar to the butterfly is the word picture most often used. I don't like that word picture because it suggests that there's a time at which we become, a time at which that we are now beautiful and we have arrived. In contrast, I like the word picture of the lobster. You see, the lobster never slows down even as it ages. A lobster will shed its shell multiple times a year. It's a process called molting that comes from a Latin word meaning to throw off. No, lobsters are always in a pursuit of progress, of growing, and they get larger and larger to the point where they break their shell. So they crawl out of their shell and they go into somewhere where they can be unprotected because they're very vulnerable to predators at that point. And one part I really like about this illustration is there's a role for the church for vulnerable people when we're still becoming, to protect and come around them when they're vulnerable to predators. But the lobster will stay in that dark place where it's protected until it grows a new, larger, shiny shell. And then it'll come out and return to its productive life. But its entire life, until the day it dies, is the perpetual pursuit of growth. Be like the lobster. We don't stop growing till the day we die. We don't even slow down because there's too much work to be done. Not only work that the Holy Spirit wants to do in us until we reflect the image of his Son, Jesus, but there's too much good work to be done for others. You are what you contemplate. You're getting older every day. Are you getting better? The world needs better adults. Are you one of them? Let me pray for you. Father, I am left to conclude, like everybody watching this video, that when I see who you are by what you've created, and I read what you reveal through your prophets and the law and your divine word, I don't measure up. I simply don't measure up. So let my response to these revealed things, these revealed truths, be a humble prayer of need. God, I need you to redeem me, to restore life to my soul, to bring me back from sin, both intentional and unintentional. Reveal things in us that we rationalize every day. God, remind us that when the enemy wants to sneak in with guilt, saying you're not there yet, you're not perfected, that our goal is not to have to arrive today. We just need to be doing better than we did yesterday, because yesterday is our baseline. Christ is our goal. Christ is the trajectory. God, make us a holy people. Continue to transform us and grow us until we look like your Son, Jesus. Remind us, Father, that you are our rock and our protector, and you, Lord, are our Redeemer. You bring us out of slavery to sin. Let us live in it no longer. And we pray all these things in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Grace and peace to you.
Who am I that the highest King would welcome me? I was lost, but he brought me in. Oh, his love for me. Oh, his love for me. Who the sun sets free, oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am. Free at last, he has ransomed me. His grace runs deep. While I was a slave to sin, Jesus died for me. Yes, he died for me. Who the sun sets free, oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God, yes I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. Oh, I am who you say I am. Who the sun sets free, oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God, yes I am. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. shine.